Hello, welcome to this week's Midweek message. Have you ever thought about time? Today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. That's an interesting quotation. The person who wrote it must have been puzzling about time and the mystery. And it's true because time moves our tomorrows into yesterdays. And time is intangible. We have lots of expressions about time. Time flies, time hangs heavy, all in good time, tea time. I'm sure you can think of many more. But why does time occupy so much of our thinking? Maybe because it's influential in all we do. We're constantly working to time or against time. In fact, time comes into our speech far more than we realise. So when did time begin? Why do we need time? Did time begin when God made the universe and the planets, and especially the earth? It's been suggested that why we need time on earth is so that everything doesn't happen at once. Well, maybe. Or is it because we're all made of frail flesh? We can become tired. Rest is essential, and the God who made us made time, made rest compulsory through the sun controlling the night and the day. And we're told in the first few verses of Genesis that God himself, having created the universe and the earth, rested on the seventh day. So we too must rest when darkness falls, and without sleep we would find it hard to remain mentally and physically healthy. Einstein once thought that time had no beginning and no ending. Well, today we're told that the universe began with a big bang, and time began in microseconds, which suggests that whatever caused the Big Bang must have been before time began, which again suggests there must have been a creator outside of time causing everything to come into existence. And now we live in time, and God has given each one of us an amount of time in which to live our lives. It's meant to help us to organise our lives, but often we find ourselves slaves to time. We can find ourselves wasting time too, or making time, or spending time. How did you use your time yesterday? Well, yesterday is in the past and cannot now be changed. God gives us time for rest, time for work, time for recreation. And we can give time back to God, either a little or a lot, and it's up to us. We can give it in prayer or through as God's hands, feet or voice in helping others. In Ecclesiastes chapter 3, the message is memorable. There's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to tear down and a time to rebuild. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. Time is the one thing that each and every one of us has exactly the same amount of every single day. But it's elusive, it's hard to control. When we wake up, we probably feel that the day ahead is filled with expanding time. Later in the day, we feel as if we are running short of time. Time is running out. And there are times when we don't value the time that we do have and little happens in our day. And that could be seen as something of a loss. Then there's the problem that time is unforgiving, it's definite. It doesn't allow us to travel either backward or forward in time, regardless of Doctor Who. There are moments we wish that we could go back, perhaps to put something right that we said or did, perhaps to revisit a day or time in the past, change the decisions we made yesterday, play the game again, this time using different tactics, or take the exam one more time, resit the interview perhaps. We all know what it's like to feel we could have done so much better if only we were given a second chance. Well, Albert Einstein, he said something else about time. He said, time moves in one direction, memory in another. But we can get lost imagining the future or feeling regret of the past. Sometimes too, time can seem to fly by with no possibility of slowing it down, and it's difficult to get away from the feeling that time is fleeting. Time is something we all wish we had more of. And yet all of our clocks and watches keep the same time. No one has more minutes in a day than anyone else. Clocks all tick more or less the same speed all day long. The time will not change, but our attitude to time can change quite a lot. Some of us spend time wishing it would pass more quickly. I wish it was time to go home from work. I wish it was time for lunch. I wish it was time to retire. I once read of a school where there was a clock that had a notice on it saying, "Don't watch me, I'm working." Time is a gift from God. It's a very precious gift, and we need to make the very most of our time. Someone called Harvey Mackay once wrote, "Time is free, but it is priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can't get it back." Let us end with a prayer. In the gift of this new day, in the gift of this present moment, in the gift of time and eternity intertwined, let me be thankful. Let me be attentive. Let me be open to what has never happened before. In the gift of this new day, in the gift of this present moment, in the gift of time and eternity intertwined. Amen.